Thank you so much, guys, for you who have tuned in already, and those who will be watching this the recording. You're very welcome. This is Lifetime Success Seminars. My name is Charles Stephen. I'm a co-host alongside Stephen Buraganya, who will be the one introducing the topic that we're having a conversation on today. You may ask yourself, what is Lifetime Success Seminars? We run a series of programs every other Saturday, and we raise conversations in our communities to do with personal development. So anything to do with health, fitness, business, finance, relationships, lifestyle, you name it. Any of those areas, we raise conversations and we have discussions, we have debates, even sometimes we have presentations, just to raise the awareness and conversations to do better in all those areas of personal development. And the topic of our conversation today is about taking action and taking prompt action. The title of our flyer was "Just Do It." I hope Nike won't mind us using their slogan, but that's the whole point. It's all about taking action whenever we have an intention to do so, rather than procrastinating or putting things off because of one reason or another. So we're going to have that conversation today, and hopefully the points, the nuggets, things that we're going to discuss here are going to be valuable to you. And so I'm personally excited and looking forward to it. So without further ado, Stephen, do you want to take us away?
Yes, thank you, Charles, for the introduction. And as the topic is, actually, I think we are 3-4 of us. It's not a topic that, it's one-sided, it's one person going in. I will kind of introduce and share some whatever I'm going to share, trying to make the ball rolling. We can jump in. And yeah, taking action is one of the major, really, factors in succeeding or failing. There's no hidden secret about it. We take action on our goals, we succeed. We plan, think, and ponder, and then sleep on not taking action, and nothing happens. So taking action is basically, I can say, life. If you don't take any action, then you're dead. You're breathing in, you're taking action. You're waking up in the morning, you're doing, that shows there is some life in you. And possibly, I don't think we take really enough time to think about activity, because we just do, we assume that, okay, we just do, and we do what we need to do as a regular basis, do this, brush your teeth, have a shower, drop a kid to school, and then we can kind of mend this with all other important actions or activity that can make a difference. But it's important to kind of think, on the actions that we do, especially on the goals that we have set. So taking action, that's the topic for today. Now, we are going to kind of discuss, actually, personally, I will take lead, but also you may come into this, but we're going to talk about the power of taking action. I think is a powerful thing, to be honest, in terms of the success that, we aspire to achieve. So, and let's start with the simple truth that we always, I think we discussed about setting goals. Okay. Well, in January, we set this a New Year resolution to make sure that we set up some goals, and this is what I want to do, and this is what I want to achieve, which is really good. That's a stage one into taking action. But again, after you plan and think and ponder and discuss, then we need to put action into action, if I can say that. I don't know if it's allowed in English or not, but we need to take action. Now, the key question is, why don't we take actions? Especially in the things that really matter. You've said the main reason why maybe the goals are not realized is the lack of actions, that we don't do what we say we're going to do. Right? So I'm having maybe some weight issues, and then I'm lacking motivation. I say, okay, Charles is a life coach. So Charles, and say, okay, I'm here, I need your help. And Charles say, okay, let's sit down. So this is how we're going to make it. We're going to break it down. Okay. So every day you're going to run half an hour, 5 days a week. That's taking action. Now, if that's what we agree, and then on Friday, Saturday, we kind of meeting up for a recap, Okay, so Charles asking Stephen, how much did we do? I said, oh, you know, Monday was okay, but Tuesday was a bit of a rain, and you know, I don't have enough, whatever I didn't do, and that's the beginning, right? Excuses. That is the beginning of whatever it is. And what I've realized, actually, the big thing, the big success is hidden in very small things. For example, as we say, small numbers. Okay, you're a salesperson. So Charles got a business, you know, he's selling loans, you know, for us to buy. So the key is going to be he has a goal to reach, you know, 20,000 customers, you know, after 2 years. So you need to come up with a plan. The plan number one would be doing some phone calls, right? So calls. So you need to come up with a number like, okay, every week I need to do 50 calls, which comes every day I need to make 10 calls. You had to do that. Numbers, taking action. Now, if he had a big, good business plan, you know, convince the wife and everyone and say, yeah, this is a good plan. If he's not going to make that one phone call, whatever is written here is not going to come. Let's agree. No matter the plan, you know, the plan, the bigger the plan, or, you know, beautiful the plan is, if we take no action, nothing will happen. It's the same as, you know, you practice, you know, you're a soldier, and then you're planning for the D-Day. You know, you go for the drill, you know, you go for the exercise, you go for the rehearsal. Now, when it is the day, the enemy is in front of you, you're going to pull the trigger. If you don't pull the trigger, then there was no reason for all the rehearsal you did, you know. And this is the thing that happens most of the time, that we prepare and we do this, but when it really matters, we fail to pull the trigger, and the whole thing goes, that's it, one chance. Yeah. So Paul is preparing all this, and then on the day of the day, that today is the day, and then the ambulance comes, and then Mr. Paul hadn't brake, he failed. And then that's all that's the day, it matters. So we need to make sure that we think of the plan, the action, yeah, the activity. Now, when we do the normal activity, you know, the normal action, some of them they're subconscious. We don't think about it. We just do because, you know, they are in there. But when we do some important, you know, planning, you know, I have important thing and I have some plan that I have planned on it, you have to check the quality of your actions. Okay, because you can just do, but you can also do with a certain, I don't know, standard or the quality of your actions. And I think that will come from the quality of your thoughts, because we think and then we do. So you can choose, say, well, I'm going to be whatever, and then just kill somebody. It's like, yeah, it's an action, but that's going to result you going to prison, right? It's an action. You chose to do that. And then you can say, no, I'm going to start, you know, doing exercise every other day. I'm going to check my blood pressure, check how much it reads. It's a good action. And now you're going to have a good results. Okay. So when we act, when you display and make your plan, say, these are the actions that I'm going to do. I'll make phone calls, for example, as Charles say. Then the key is, how am I going to make the phone call? What will be my introduction to this phone call? When I'm talking to them, what ingredients am I going to be pushing into this phone call? Yeah. So we're going to go down to that level. Okay. So I think when we act, if we have the plan, whatever you do, let's see how much quality that action has. Again, we have, you know, that the universe that we live in operates in laws, you know, action and reaction. Okay. So whatever you sow, you reap, you know, every action that you put in, you get some results. If I do something, I expect it. If I do nothing, you know, I don't know if doing nothing is an action. Charles will help me. Is doing nothing an action? No.
I suppose you take a conscious thought to do nothing, don't you? So your action is nothing.
You
I'm
actually.
gonna, so you could say, right, today I'm gonna have a rest. I'm gonna do nothing today. So that is an action, I guess.
Okay, so agreeable.
Sorry,
That's an
just
action.
playing devil's advocate a little bit, but
No.
you know, it could, potentially
so-
it could be an action.
So doing
If,
nothing.
if it's intentional, it's an action. If it's unintentional, it's not an action, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Charles, do we agree?
Totally. Yeah, totally.
Hey!
The thing is, I was going to take exactly Paul's stance, but then he beat me to it.
Sorry, Charles.
Well, another key important thing that I think possibly later I want us to kind of discuss, that is the motivation to act. So you got it on paper. Charles got a good plan. This is my business. Every day I need to make 10 phone calls. Every week should be 50 phone calls. Now you wake up in the morning, no motivation to do the phone call. So what does Charles need? A whip in the back? Or what do we need to make us do the act that we need to do? Because that's important. We need to know what start our action, what motivate our action, because we need action to succeed. But now we're gonna go beyond that. Okay, for us to do the action, what is needed? What makes the action happen? Then we're gonna go, and if you see we're not able to do the action, then we're gonna see how we can fix that. So the motivation to act. Now I'm not gonna talk into that. We will rather discuss when it's time to discuss. It's a good point that I want to kind of write it down. So I'll put it down that the motivation to act. Why don't we have a motivation to act at some point in life? Yeah. So we discuss that. And another thing that I want us to kind of remind ourselves. And
sorry to interrupt. Every time you move to the side a little bit, your sound disappears for some reason.
Okay. Yeah.
Just stay still. Don't move.
You might
well, that's gonna be a major problem, for me to stay still.
Stay in the frame.
All right. That actually earlier my computer was saying microphone was not working. I had an issue with the microphone for some reason. I had time. So maybe let me try this. Should be better.
Does that have a mic?
I think this has something. Yeah, 1, 2. You hear me? Yes.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, I hear you. Do you hear me?
Yeah. I'm not sure. So are you using the mic, the earphone mic?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Fine. Carry on.
Yeah. If you hear me, yes. If you hear me. Yeah, you can hear me. Yes. Yeah. So there was a book that I was reading, and then through while I was reading, became the point that they were talking about the activity, and this gentleman was saying, the same physics principle, the law of inertia, okay, which says if you have an object, put it on place, it's gonna stay in place until an external force pushes it to go and start moving. Charles is very good on this. He used to get AAA. He knows this. The motion and stuff. And and after looking into it, I said, well, this could not only be useful in physics, it can also be useful in our normal lives. So if you remain in a state of resting and you don't think nothing, you don't do nothing, of course the result will be nothing. Let's agree into that. And if you're doing something, you're always trying, you're pushing around, you're doing something, the result will be the same. Something will happen, something will appear, But the important thing is to start, is to begin, which I think is the theme of our topic today. The willpower to start. I think sometimes that's the biggest hurdle, starting. Once you start, sometimes it's easy. It's like, when having cold shower. The key is, now can I just jump in, Once you're in the shower, everything is cool, you can stay there.
I used to have a thing, like going out for a run. The hardest bit about going out and taking exercise is putting your shoes on and opening that front door. That is probably the biggest hurdle of exercise, is actually putting your trainers on and opening the front door and walking out. Probably
not just the biggest, but probably the only one. Because how many times do you actually come back after being outside? Very rarely. I mean, many times if I've been outside and it's proper raining. But once I'm already out there,
Doesn't
I tend to
Not a
just
problem.
persevere through
But
it.
if you're stood inside and you see it's raining, it's like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
What's
Exactly.
the- or you look and say, what's the forecast this afternoon? Oh, it might brighten up later.
Well, I think,
Procrastinate.
Been there.
yeah, but I think we're all right. Actually, most things, I think the beginning is a problem. You know, the starting point, you know, you need to have that kinetic energy. Well, and this is, I think this is true to everything. Even the plane, you know, need a lot of energy to go up. When once it's up there, cruise control, everything goes on. So we need to find out that ignition, you know, the ignition thing, you know, the power to start, you know. So, and that needs focus, you know, because I was listening to Brian Tracy, and then it was very nice something. He was talking about, you know, at the moment, they say, you know, at the moment, I just can't understand, you know, you got people all the time, they're on this mobile phone. You can't focus like that. You got something you're focusing and it's ringing. I say, you can't, you know, and again, which is very true. Now, when you have your objective, you have your goal that you want to achieve, you set up your plan, action is needed. There's no question about it. You can plan, you can draw, you can everything, but if there's no action, we can't succeed. Now, we need to have the willpower to say, I have to do it, right? And I think one of the strategies you can use to have somebody say, okay, Paul, Charles, we agree in principle. We're going to be brothers keepers. So accountability. So, you know, Paul, you say you're going to be running Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know, Tuesday, I'm giving you a phone call. Did you run yesterday? No. What excuse are you going to give me? You know.
I don't remember that conversation, Stephen.
Well, it was good. Well, I think one of the
Yeah, I know what you're saying, mate. I know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. that could be a strategy, you know. So we agree in principle. You sign a contract. If you don't go for a run and it's proven, you pay me £20. You will go for a run.
Yeah.
A simple start. You want to achieve your
I'll be back
objective.
in a minute.
So if
20
you
quid.
know, you agree in terms that I will be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I won't go for no good reason, £20. You agree? Yes, you
Yeah.
sign. And that's it. You know, when you're there, make a video call. Let me see. Prove to me you're running. You'll succeed. I tell you, many people will lose some weight. If that's what they will lose. But
And
when you say,
if they don't lose weight, they'll lose money.
obviously, yes.
Which eventually means they will lose weight.
Exactly, yes. So now you got the motivation, you got something. You know, and if you're that committed, I think, because you see, you need some discipline. You know, you need to kind of deny yourself that little pleasure, the warmth of your house, and you need to be able to deny that gratification of staying in, which is, you need something, you know, and it is something I think that you and I need to cultivate to succeed in life, because it's not going to be sunshine every day. Some days it rains, but you need to go out to do you need to go for a run. But the environment, the weather is not conducive, but whoa, you have to go, you know. So we need to have the focus and the willpower to take action in everything that we want to succeed on.
You have to be an adult state mind. I think you've got the adult, child, and parent states of mind.
Mhm.
Like when your alarm goes off in the morning, your child state, you're still in your child state. Oh no, 5 more minutes, and you hit the snooze button. And then you switch from that child state mind into your adult state mind, and you think, do you know what? I'll go to work. I must get up this time. And you start off in your child state, and then you switch to your adult state mind and think, you know what? I really must get up and get my breakfast and get going.
Yeah, which is very true. But the thing is, Paul, you know, most people, they do what they do simply because of the pain, which is, if I don't do this, for example, you know, if you give people option, are you going to go to work or not? You know, they will possibly say yes, but because I need to pay the rent and I'm going to be outside, I need to go to work. You understand?
Yeah.
This is the thing, but you need to be able to, I think, to be able to that willpower that I have nothing that outside pressure to make me do what I need to do,
Absolutely.
but I'm still willing and able to do, you know? Because some people, if you tell them, let's go for a run today, they say, but when the doctor say, listen, If you're not going to go for a run, you die next week. You run. Why?
Mm.
The motivation, you know, to die.
I-
to die.
I'll give you an example. There's a guy I use on Facebook, and he does a 7-day unbreakable challenge, and he gets people up to motivate them. And part of the challenge is they've got to get up in the morning, they've got to move for 4 minutes and drink a big glass of water first thing in the morning. And people say, oh, I'm going to the gym later. He said, this isn't about exercise. This is about commitment.
Yes.
You might be the fittest person. You don't need the exercise. It's about commitment. So I forwarded this to, I don't know how many people, a couple of which
Yes.
I really knew was struggling and in a bad way, and could do with some motivation or something to reset them basically. And they said they haven't got time to do it. And they just kind of I don't think any of them did it. I even if I told them there's no commitment, obviously he asks you to sign up to a paid thing at the end of the week, which is an optional thing. You have to actually sign up to it. It's not like you're signed up and you have to come out of it. You have to commit to it at the end of the week if you want to. So there's no pressure. But yeah, people, they've got to be wanting to help themselves as well, you know?
Yeah. And you know, and you said it well, Paul, commitment, you know. I think these are the things that, you know, they really matter, but we take less time to kind of think of them. Am I committed into what I'm doing, you know, in this action? Am I committed? Because you need those things to succeed. Otherwise, it won't work. If you no commitment, you know, you do today, tomorrow you skip, you do the day after you skip, it's not going to happen.
And I think if you struggle with commitment, then you need to reduce the size of the goal slightly. Yeah, you know, you if you start and you think, oh God, because if you set the goal really high and you do it and it doesn't, you'd never achieve that goal. It's sometimes harder. It's easier to fall back and think, you know what, why did I bother in the first place? But if you set the goals smaller, each goal is more achievable. So once you've achieved one goal, it's like, wow, I've done that. And then the next goal is easier. Do you know what I mean? So you have to, I mean, some people say, reach for the stars, reach for the sky and you'll get a star or whatever, you know, whatever the saying is. But yeah, that can work if you achieve that. But sometimes if you reach too high and you don't achieve it, the knockback just gets you stuck again.
Yeah. Well, I think what you're saying is true, and then I'm going to give you an example of a pumpkin in the jar. You know, a farmer put a pumpkin seed in the jar, and then the seed start growing, and then when it reaches the side of the jar, the thing stopped growing. So whichever way, you know, you can make big plans. You know, you can make small plans. But whichever plans you make, they need commitment. Either it's a small plan or it's a big plan, you need a commitment. So unless you already assess and say, well, the reason why I cannot do this is because I've seen the plan is too big and I can't, you know. But still, for me, even if it's a big thing, we can break it into small pieces. Do the smallest piece that you can, right? So if you say, my plan for a year is to run 10,000 kilometers, then break it down into how much kilometer you need to run per day, then do that, you know, and then that's going to make it up. So don't think of, 10,000 kilometers, that's a lot, man. I don't think, no, just break it down. You know, how much do you need to do per day? And you do. So for me, set bigger plans. Okay. I have something to say. It is better to be a man of small ability with big plans than to be a man of great ability with a small plan.
To have the big plan and then break that big plan into small stages.
Because to me, what matters is that commitment. It doesn't matter for me, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, when I'm driving and I see old woman, maybe 80 years old, she can't run, but she's doing that, like, you know, I just praise them. I say that's amazing. You know, that's the best that she can do. You can see she's really old.
I do the same with very obese people that are walking. So I absolutely adore what they're doing.
I just adore,
really obese person walking and trying. And you know, you might get some people, look at him. I actually have nothing but admiration for him. I said, you go, mate, because there's lots of people will be criticizing how you look. Correct. You're sat in front of the telly.
Yeah, so it's the willpower really to do either a small thing or a big thing. So, you know, there's no excuses. When you start buying excuses, then we go nowhere. Charles, you were talking something. Come on.
Yeah. I was saying in regards to your point, whether big goals or small goals, and I think
Yes.
you pointed out really perfectly. I think it's very important to have a big goal as the guide, if you like, because the danger I see with a lot of people is that we in trying to set small goals, we end up setting small goals that are leading us in all different directions. So we start a small thing in this direction, and then whether we succeed in it or not, we end up creating another small goal in a different direction because we don't have a bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve.
Yes.
So I think having a big goal is really important, even if you're not going to achieve it at once, or even going to try to achieve it at once, because you can't anyway. But it kind of allows you to know what you need to do and what you need not to do, if that makes sense. For instance, if I want to be a doctor, if someone comes to me and offers me an opportunity to go and be an apprentice in some garage somewhere, now, I mean, it's a brilliant idea. I mean, it's brilliant. It's an opportunity. It's good. It's something maybe I could do, but if my plan was to be a doctor, probably that's a distraction. You see what I mean? So sometimes having that bigger goal helps you to be able to choose what you need to do and what really will motivate. And another thing, I think it helps with the motivation. You become more motivated with the smaller goals if you kind of feel in your mind that they adding into the bigger goal. If you know what I mean, it's almost like they're getting you closer to the big goal. It's like someone who's trying to climb up a flight of stairs. You know what I mean? You're just taking a step at a time, but you know that with each step that you manage to take successfully, it's getting you closer to where you're trying to go. So in the back of your mind, you're trying to get to the top, but you know you can only do a step at a time. That kind of thing. So I think they're both important, but it's the question of where does one fit, if you like. So I was just trying to add into what you're saying, Steve. Carry on.
Yeah, and actually online to that one, I've got something written here. I say, place no limit, no restriction on your goals in life. Make no little plans, right? And do not let others, for whatever purpose, limit your goals. Accept no little plans, for your plans will shape and limit your life. Exactly as if you put a pumpkin seed in the jug. Once it's reached that limit, it can't go any further. Okay. So as I said earlier, it's better to have small ability, but with big plans, and and then also make sure that step by step you're judging your progress. Because if you can't track your progress, then this is what Paul said. There's no enthusiasm. There's no that reward. And Charles pointed very well. When you have something big which you can't finish today, so you done small today, you say there's something else for tomorrow. So you're still going in that direction. But when you have small one, you done small, you finish, now I finish, okay, what am I gonna do next? This one small. So you got a lot of small, and when you put them together, they go nowhere and they don't maybe fit to one another, okay? So it's important, let's have a worthy goal. And to reach that goal, you must have a plan. But like a pumpkin, you're gonna make sure that the size of your plan is not limited to the jar. Yeah. So we said it well. But again, what I want us to kind of focus on is the activity, the motivation to act. So I want to open a discussion here. And what is the key to the motivation to act?
Routine.
So say again. Routine. Okay. So routine.
You need a routine.
Okay. You need a routine. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Well, you don't need to have a routine, but I think there's a statistic. It's kind of slightly going off subject, but you need a routine because the one in three people are stuck in survival mode. They reckon at the moment, as in mentally stuck in survival mode, and without routine or direction, you're just going to remain in survival mode. So you're just in. So you need a routine. So if you've got a thing to do, you need, right, okay, at such and such a time, I'm going to do this, this, and this every day, or you try and make a routine for yourself.
Yeah, well, I take that. That's a good point. But for me, I'm going to add into one thing again, and then this is a good lesson from Jim Rohn. He says, see, when the promise is clear, you won't mind paying the price,
Okay.
you know. And you can go back to you, Paul, when you were young, you know, and you want to get your wife or your girlfriend, you know, you're gonna do everything you can to impress, you know. Some days, yeah, boys laughing. Some days, you know, you go no money, but you're gonna say, hey, Steven, you know, can I borrow something? Why? You know, yeah, there's something, but you know, you have no money to take out for dinner. But when you see you go and you buy into the idea, and when you see the promise, then the paying the price is not a problem. So key important thing is you're gonna make that dream, that goal really appealing to yourself. That's the number one. Buy it to yourself, you know. So okay, this is Charles and approaching the wife, which is Mgesia, you know, I know. So Charles need to do some sell. He need to sell himself, you know, go there and then create some whatever he can create to win the girl. You understand? And again, so you're gonna make that dream, whatever it is, big enough to give you that drive, you know. So if you're Usain Bolt, you're gonna see that Olympic, that medal, see the people cheering, you know, like, yeah, you're the fastest man in the world. You hear that in your brain, you say, well, I'm gonna exercise. But if you're not motivated with the goal, you set a very tiny small that to run here and there, then you can create an excuse because there's nothing to, you know.
There was the rugby player, what was his name? The England rugby player that managed to, it was an awesome goal kicker. Was it Tommy Wilkinson or somebody?
Wilkinson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People asked him how he was so good at kicking goals from all angles. And he said he used to spend 8 hours down the rugby field just kicking the ball over the goal in different angles. 8 solid hours repetitively kicking the ball until he nailed it over the goal in every angle possible.
That's the full shift. That's the full shift. 8 hours.
Repetition to achieve. It's a bit like me with my training. The only way I'm going to get myself to a level where I've got a very good chance, or almost 100% chance of passing, is I have to keep going on the app and I have to keep doing the questions over and over and over and looking at them and analyzing until it sticks.
So that's the power of taking action, you know. So we have to agree that, well, I think that's one ingredient that you need for success. Even if you got all the knowledge, whatever it is, if there's no action, then it won't happen.
Yeah. May I add something else here,
yes,
Stephen? Which kind of links what you were talking about and what Paul had mentioned before about routine. I think well, it's not a problem. It's just human nature. It's just life. Basically, it's that we get bombarded with different things constantly, especially in this age right now with information age. We get bombarded with so much information, so much junk, and it's constant. Now that has a problem that it keeps distracting us constantly. And I think the problem we get the most now is to stay focused on what we want to do. What I believe is we tend to act on the things that are the loudest in our minds. Like we have lots of agenda going through in our minds, right? And it's like a lobbying center there. You know, you have all these voices coming in. You know, you need to do this, you need to lose weight, you need to do that, you need to go to work, you need to pay your bills, you know, you need to look after your wife, you know, you need to. These voices keep bombarding you constantly. Now the question is and that's why it's very important what you're actually feeding yourself, because the voice you allow to be the loudest in your mind is eventually going to be the one that you're going to act upon. And that's what I believe things like what we're doing right now, having these sort of meetings, these sort of conversations. Some people don't see value in this because they think it's like, this is just a time wastage. I mean, if I sit down and talk about action for 1 hour, what is it going to do me? The point is not just the 1 hour that you do here. It's how often do you have those kind of conversations, and how much do you allow your mind to kind of soak in those kind of conversations, because that's how you're going to start acting accordingly, because it becomes the loudest voice, if you like. I mean, you realize that there are things that you don't do them the first time you're told, isn't it? I mean, as humans, we tend to be told. I was talking to Paul earlier, and he was talking about the program he's doing right now, the driving instructor program he's doing right now. And he said that, you know, he's been putting it off for so many times. You know, even his wife has been telling him, why don't you book this one? And it's almost like our minds need to be told something constantly so many times before it actually acts upon it. So the question is, how much of that do you allow to go through your mind before you act? You know what I mean? So I think it's very important to really, yes, you're trying to act, but at the same time, you need to allow your mind to keep soaking in the same kind of conversation. It's the same reason I'm a Christian, but I know if I don't go to church every Sunday, chances are I'm going to be a West Christian come 2 years from now. Why? Because if I'm not getting bombarded by the same information about God and really being reminded that God is important in my life, chances are I will forget, isn't it? So it's the same thing with everything else. You have to keep doing it, the same thing, get the same information to really make an impact in what you do. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Charles. So that brings us into, you know, the power of repetition, you know, power of focus, you know, because I think that's another important thing. I think we have already discussed about the topic of focus, but it's really important, you know, really important that you focus on this is your goal, then you focus on the goal. Then for me to achieve the goal, I need to focus on these actions, do them actions, you know, and then you assess the action step by step, you track how much, you know, you're doing into that. And I think that's the way forward. So Paul said, you know, for us to be motivated, you know, when you lack that motivation, we have to create a routine, which I think is very important. What else do we need?
Just something that came to mind, and that is something that's easy to do. I mean, I've been worse at it since I've not been on nights anymore, but is actually getting to bed at a sensible hour and getting the right amount of sleep every night. It's very easy to see I'll just finish watching this, and then midnight, 12:30 comes, and then it's 1 o'clock before you get to sleep. You've got to be up at 7. You're lucky if you get 5 hours sleep. You have to, so you have to plan that to make sure you're getting enough rest in between these things you're doing, because you're not going to be your best if you don't have discipline for like a bedtime routine and things. So it all encompasses into the same thing. You're not going to be at your sharpest or your best if you don't factor in enough rest and downtime. I mean, I'm terrible for it. I say to myself every night, I come home from a late shift at 9:30, and I say, right, I'll have a cup of tea and I'll get ready. I'll be in bed by 10:30 and get an early night. And then midnight, I'm just getting into the shower. You know, and it isn't good.
Out the window, yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you. And well, I thank you, Stella. Stella is saying that, you know, another ingredient what we need is a discipline, which I think is, yes, it is important, you know. And all these things are connected because, I don't know, it's a kind of a network. You know, the focus, which you need discipline, and discipline needs this, and the, you know, the action. So everything needs one another, you know. And I think they are very small things, but they have a big impact, you know. It's a very small thing, but, you know, like you focus, then you're going to have a discipline that, okay, this is all I need to do. And whether I feel it or not, I got to do it. And I say, this is the time, this is the reason why I said that painful thing that, Paul, if you don't do your push-ups, 20 quid, you know, if you keep paying and you say, oh, I paid £100 to Stephen for not doing my push-ups. Well, that's going to give you a little pain. Maybe the discipline now will start coming in, you know. And so at times we need the weeping, you know, and the pain I don't know if it motivates us or pushes us to do things, you know. But well, activity thing is very, very important, you know. What we do, you know, make things happen, and what we don't do, because you see, again, what we do and what we don't do could be of equal importance, you know. Do less of what you don't need to do and do more what you need to do. You know, some people are busy doing their action, but they're doing more of what they don't need to do. You know, it's like Brian Tracy was talking about, say, a business is selling. It's, oh, we are selling, you know, good sales, and then we're making 2-3 billion profit, but we're making X Y amount loss. And he say, yeah, the key thing is, again, you need to say why you're making some losses, because if you're making loss in every item, whatever, the more you sell, the more loss you incur. You're selling, but if you're selling at loss, you're killing your business. No matter how much, in fact, the more sales you make, the more you're killing yourself. But you see, so it's important that we again, check the activity, the quality of the action that we are taking. Yeah. So good to review and then see, what is holding us back, why are we sometimes get stuck on the ground floor? We need to see why we're not going up, we are stuck in ground floor, and it's important to see, what is holding us. And then you can see as a matter of principle, you may say, oh, the mafia, the drug dealers, they're succeeding, why, good people, the people who are, they're failing? Well, simply because they're doing what they need to do. You understand? They're in the marketplace, they're doing what they need to do. And at the end of the day, they're driving Rolls Royce. Of course, we may not agree with the means, or the ethics of what they've been doing, but because they've taken action, activity gives you results that you need. That's what it is.
It can be applied. There's some, I've met people who complain all the time. They plead that they've got no money and life's hard and they've got no money, but they turn up with a chocolate bar and a Costa every shift. And little do they know, but that's costing them probably £900 a year.
Yeah.
Or leave them in their chocolate bar. Come on, are you jealous or what? What's the problem for?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that you get a lot of people that they claim they've never they haven't got enough money to live on, but then they have that £2.50, £3 cost of coffee every single day. And if you added all those little things up and the little snacks that they buy, that they don't need to buy, they just added extras. It runs into probably almost £1,000 a year that they're just throwing away on just junk food, that they could easily do without that and make their lives a bit easier.
Absolutely. There's a book I read, and I think I shared in this forum a while back, called The Automatic Millionaire. And the guy talks a lot about that. He calls it the latte effect. And that people buying latte or coffee, whatever it is you buy every day from Costa when you're going to work. And he was kind of saying people don't realize how much money they actually, I mean, it's good. I mean, if that's what you enjoy doing and you're doing that deliberately and you know exactly what you're doing, great. But a lot of people do that without really thinking what that money could have done if they chose to invest. For instance, in that book, they're soliciting about doing passive investments and stocks and shares and those kind of things. But it's all about thinking that sometimes you think you don't have enough to do those kind of things, but it's because you're actually blowing it on things that you could do without. So that's the really good point. But may I add something else, Steve, on the point you were trying to make earlier? There is research that was done at the University of Bristol quite a number of years back now, and it was to do with New Year's resolutions. And they did a research and found out that 88% of New Year's resolutions they don't come into fruition. Okay, like if you see people at the beginning of the year and ask them what they are planning to do that year, what is it that they've resolved to do on that particular year, and then see the same people at the end of the year and find out how many out of those actually did what they said they would do, or even attempted to do what they said would do. It will be less than 12%.
Yeah, I've heard a similar quote from this guy. I didn't know the source, but he mentioned that the vast majority of New Year's resolutions just never ever come to fruition.
They just don't do. And there is another concept I talked about, I think, a while back on this same forum as well. I call it the AI ratio, which is action to intention ratio. Basically, we have a lot of good intentions, right? I mean, you wake up in the morning and you have these thoughts and these ideas and these plans. Most of the times we already know what's the right thing to do. We have the right intention, but somehow as humans, our AI ratio, our action to intention ratio is so poor. I mean, going by the statistic by the University of Bristol, our AI ratio is about 12%. That's what it is. It means 12% of what we intend to do is what we end up attempting to do. let alone succeeding, just attempting to do. So that is horrible. I made a deliberation a few years back. I said, I want to bring my action to intention ratio up. Now, that isn't to say that I'm going to be very successful, because that is not efficiency. I may still attempt and fail, but it's fine. I don't care. All I'm saying is I want, if I have an idea that I think is a good idea, if I have something that I feel this is good for me or my family or my future, whatever it is, and I think I'm better off doing it, then I will do it, if that makes sense. There are times when it won't work. There are times it will work, but eventually, I think there is more to gain than not to attempt in the first place. And I think that's the key. I think we need to really need to challenge ourselves to really take our thoughts seriously, to take our intentions seriously, and say
have you found that
yeah.
I know you've got into journaling and writing stuff down.
Yeah.
And that massively helps that what you're talking about.
It does.
Rather than just having that thought, writing that thought down, because the fact is, when we're writing, our brain goes into a different wave of pattern as well, that it makes it stick more. Just literally saying it over and over in our heads is not, it's not going to stick. But when you write it down, as you write, your brain calms. So it's more likely that the brain is in a state where it's going to remember what you've written and stick in there.
Absolutely. And there is something else that I can't explain it. There is something else about written information. For some reason, if something is written down, it carries more credibility for some reason. Same reason. I mean, if someone writes a book and he writes absolute junk in the book, just by the fact that he actually took time and wrote that in the book, brings some credibility to it. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing when we write things for ourselves. If you think about something, you tend to brush it off a lot easier than if you actually write it down. There is something about written information. I don't know. Even the Bible says, if you have a vision, write it down, because there is something about writing things out. So absolutely, journaling, writing things down, and sometimes write it down even when you don't have the means of doing it at the time. Because sometimes the reason we write things off in our minds is things like, I don't have the time. Like the guy you're talking about earlier. Says like, I can't do this, I don't have the time. And sometimes truly you may not have the time to do what you think you want to do, but when you write it down, basically it's almost like you're immortalizing it, that this is an idea that I had and it's written down and therefore I have to do it. You know what I mean? So you're absolutely right, Paul. That is really important. But I also wanted to point out three things that we've kind of mentioned in some shape or form, but I just wanted to put them directly out there. When we were talking about why do we put things off? Why do we put things off? I mean, three words come to my mind, and I'm sure that there are million other reasons, and we've talked about some of them. Procrastination, indecision, and these are very much related. Procrastination, indecision, and the third one is fear of failure. Now let me explain them really quickly, and then obviously we'll hear others' thoughts as well. Procrastination is when you know what you need to do. You've really made up your mind that this is what I want to do, but you just can't get yourself to do it. Okay, so you already know exactly, no, this is what I need to do. This is really important. I have to do this. This will give me A, B, C, D, but somehow you can't get yourself to do it. And we've talked about it here. We said, like, that's when you need to have deadlines. And sometimes you need to have hard deadlines. I was talking with Paul just at the very beginning before most of you joined. And we were talking about sometimes you just need to put yourself in a committed stage. If it's something you need to book, if it's an exam, you need to book it even before you prepare yourself, because that's a hard deadline. Once you do that, then you'll have to prepare yourself. Sometimes that's the way to beat procrastination, when you put these hard deadlines in your calendar, in your agenda.
That's exactly what Joyce forced me in the end. She said, get on there. You've got your PIN number and your reference number. You're actually an officially approved driving instructor on the system. Book the test for two weeks time. And then although you're kind of putting, then you have to do the 2 hours a day or whatever it needs to make yourself ready.
Absolutely. Those are like hard deadlines. It's like you can't miss it. Like I said, if you miss that one, then that's 80 quid gone, just like that. So yeah, that's really important. The second thing I mentioned was indecision. Now, a lot of people confuse indecision and procrastination. Indecision, which I consider to be probably a bigger problem to most people. Indecision is when you don't do something because you're not quite sure whether it's the right thing to do. Like you kind of have an idea, I think I need to do this, but you're kind of like, is it, what if,
or you're worried it won't work, or it won't suit
no,
you.
that would be the third one. That would be the fear of failure. That's the difference.
Oh, okay.
In this one, it's kind of, you're kind of undecided. You're kind of like, maybe I could do this instead. You're kind of on a crossroad kind of thing. And I can't tell you how much time we lose on these crossroads in life. Like you have a decision to make, and you kind of stay with it for months, and you haven't quite decided which way you want to go. And eventually you end up wasting so much time and not really taking any action, because you're kind of thinking, should I not? You've heard of this thing called paralysis by analysis. You know what I mean? You're kind of paralyzed. You can't do anything because you're over analyzing things. You can't quite decide on what you want to do. My motto is, sometimes it's best to pick a direction, obviously based on the information that you have. You're never going to have all the information. Based on the information that you have, and run in that direction. Now, as you're running, if you get new information that advises you that probably that was not the right way, then you can adjust your course as you run. But a lot of us, what we tend to do is we don't run at all. We stand and wait until we have all the information, which usually is never going to be the case, before we start doing anything. So that's indecision, and that can be a big problem. And the third one is what, Paul, you are alluding to, the fear of failure. So many times you may not necessarily be procrastinating, or you may not really be undecided, but you're just so you're mortified, you're terrified of trying something and failing. You know what I mean? And that as well can be a big problem. So those are the three things I can come up with, really, and say, if we can overcome those, then I think taking action can be a little bit easier.
It's like, I also, people like to take the easiest route, and it's not always the best route. Like, if I get it, some people, if you're in a hurry and you need to pass your driving test really quickly because you've got a job or something that they want you to pass your test, so you might opt for going for an automatic, because you can pass your test significantly quicker in an automatic than you can a manual. Now, I'm not taking this is in case anybody has done that. I'm not taking away from the fact that some people choose an automatic because it's easier. There's possibly a specific reason for that. But in the long run, it's not always the easiest option. It's the easiest option, but it's not always the best option. And Joyce, loads of people kept pushing and pushing her. Why don't you go automatic? Why don't you go automatic? And she said, well, we've got a manual car for starters, so Paul will have to go and change that and then go and find an automatic. And if she had an instructor that within 3 lessons was trying to push her down the automatic route, and that really annoyed her, because 3 lessons isn't enough. So it's not always the easiest route, it's the best route. Sometimes you have to just set your goals and push through. Had she done 10 lessons and was getting absolutely nowhere, then she may have reconsidered, but it didn't work that way. But that's just another thing. Sometimes the easiest goal or the easiest route isn't always the best.
Well, yes, I totally agree, Paul. And thank you, Charles, about the failure. I see there's Nikki and Salome. You're all welcome. Thank you. Welcome we welcome you for the rest of the session that we have. And again, yeah, so thank you, Charles. The failure, that could be the paralysis for some people. But the thing is, I've learned at the moment, there's something I learned. They say, if you want to succeed fast, double the rate of your failure. Fail fast and fail as much as you can, then you succeed. Now, we want to win all the time and don't make no mistake. But no, say, make as much mistakes as you can, fail as much as you can. If you double the rate of your failure, then you succeed fast. Which is a hard philosophy, but you might have some truth in it. So it is what it is.
I agree with that philosophy 100%.
Yes,
100%. Because success curve is not like that. It's not a smooth line. Never. It's always like this. And the downturns are the failures. It's generally it's going up, but you have lots of downturns, and each downturn is a failure. And so basically what you're saying,
it's not a failure, it's a learning curve. It's
a
not
learning
failure, it's
curve.
learning.
Sorry? What's
Every
that?
failure is not failure, it's learning.
There you go. See, that's the right way to put it. So the more of those downturns you have, definitely the more upturns you have as well, and therefore eventually you're going to go up. But I think that's something we really need to drill in our minds, because the problem is so many times when we think of failure, and I see this even in our conversations, even in our communities. We really despise failure. We don't give enough credit to those who tried and failed. You know what I mean? And as a result, we kind of feel like, I'm not going to put myself in that position, because that's the image we have allowed ourselves to
Because
do.
without failure, we can't learn, can we?
That's the thing. Absolutely. But
You have to make mistakes to learn. Otherwise, you know, nobody's going to go through life without making a mistake. And every mistake we make, we learn from it.
In everything, absolutely, Paul. Everything.
And
And that's
I
something
think,
we
yeah,
really need to drill in our minds too.
Yeah, and I think that
Yeah.
is how we look at it. When people say, oh, we're doing a research about how this virus, whatever, you know, means that they're failing in the lab to get it right. When we're producing vaccination, we're in the lab and we're doing test. Test means what? Means that they're doing it, it doesn't work, and they fix a little bit, and then that's how they do. But they don't say we are failing in the lab. They say, you know, we're making experiments. So we should take that approach. For me, I think that is, you know, there is another thing that this guy wrote a topic, say failing your way to success, you know, and then he gave a good example of Thomas Edison. He said he didn't fail, but he did discover how many, whatever, 10,000, how
Thomas Edison, yeah.
that he discovered, you know,
10,000 ways which do not work.
that's the word. That's the word. And then if you take that approach, then I think it should be all right, you know. But the key is you need to have the motivation to proceed, because sometimes when you do 2-3 times, because you see, to be honest, 10,000 times, even myself, I'm talking motivation here, I wouldn't do. Let's agree. I'm not gonna fail. Whatever, no fail. Discover that much. I will already give and say, well, this one I think I need to change into something else. But he persevered, you know. So the key is to find the motivation to keep doing the same thing, you know, not repeating the same thing exactly, but keeping on the same goal to achieve whatever that you want, right? And, you know, doing this way, we need to be able to convert the knowledge that we have, you know, and the feelings that we have into activity, because sometimes how we feel affects what we do. You're feeling a little bit, you know, and that feeling, you know, so you need to be keen on how you feel, because how you feel affects your activity. So you're gonna manage all that, you know, your feeling, you know, is a key. That could be the #1 switch for you shutting down the entire progress of proceeding with whatever you want, you know. So very important. How do I feel? I'm feeling less energy today. I'm feeling a bit negative. Come on, have a cup of tea, cup of coffee, you know, let's feel good and keep going. All right. So otherwise we're gonna be making excuses and go nowhere. So I see 2, 3 people. Anybody with something in position to speak? Nikki or my wife Salome, are you in position to say anything if you want to?
Today I'm listening.
Today you're listening. Thank you.
I'm listening.
All right. Thank you. Nikki? Nikki, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hey, everyone.
Yeah, can we hear something from you on the topic? Just whatever you want to contribute, because we're here to learn from one another. If we can learn from you, please.
Oh, yes. Thank you guys for inviting me. It's been really good. I've learned so much. I missed a little bit at the beginning, but I have actually, you know, I totally agree with many of the speakers that have spoken. And I think it's a journey that I'm on myself of setting goals and trying to stick to my goals. But I like what you said about the failure. You know, failure is part of our success, because, you know, no one is going to get there without making mistakes. So I've really enjoyed listening to you guys.
Thank you.
it's the first time I'm listening. I don't know if this is an ongoing thing, but I should be signing
Yes,
myself up.
yes, we do after every 2 weeks. Yes, we are. Yeah. Welcome. We would love to have you back every time. Yes, we have
Thank
this
you.
kind of. Yes, thank you, Nikki. Thank you very much. Yes. So, well, I think the time is almost gone. But today we've been talking about, taking action and the power of taking, action. And we say you can plan, you can, dream and everything, but if no action, it's not going to come about. So the act of taking action, if I can say that English, is paramount for you and me achieving our goals or success. Is a first step, I can say. So we can plan and think. Well, even thinking, I think, is taking action. You write down your goals, that's taking action. Whatever is taking action. Then you need to keep taking action until you succeed. And then after you succeed, take another action to celebrate your success. Okay. And sometimes we say that first step is the hardest, the starting, the doing it. That is the hardest. But find motivation or find a pain or anything that can make you start, and then you start. And then we were taking an example of cold shower. When you're outside, but when you're in a cold shower, then you can, just stay there because you're in already. So find the motivation. If you can find somewhere, you can. If you don't have, borrow it from somewhere, use it. Start and then return it to whoever it belongs to. But yes, take action. Whatever plan you have, make sure that you take action. If no action, then we can't succeed. Okay. So pull the trigger. You got the gun, you go to the wall, you see your enemy, you got all that it takes, pull the trigger. That's what we do. Okay. So saying that, maybe I'll return it back to Charles to finish up. And God bless you.
Thank you so much, Steve. That was really good. Thank you for bringing this really hot and very interactive conversation on taking action. And yeah, it's been really nice. So nice having Paul back. It's been a while since we had Paul here, and I hope you enjoyed the time here, though you weren't feeling very well earlier. But yeah, thank you for your contribution, guys. Everybody, I know others couldn't really actually talk, but they were very busy on the chat section. And thank you so much for your interactions and your inputs.
I think these platforms are really important.
Yep.
Because some people are a little bit stuck, and they may be stuck in a job and they want to make a move, but they're frightened because it's better the devil and all that sort of thing. And whether it's this platform or investing in some sort of training or self-help thing to motivate your brain to actually take a chance and go and diversify a bit and go and do something that you might be more interested in is very important.
Absolutely.
And around like-minded people. And I think these platforms are really good for people who might be stuck or need just a little bit of they're sort of stuck in survival a little bit, and they just need a little push to make themselves go forwards. It's good.
Absolutely, Paul. Absolutely, Paul. Yeah, and that's what we do. What we do, Lifetime Success Seminars. That's what we do to raise these conversations, to create a platform, a space where you can have these kind of conversations that usually you wouldn't have them anywhere else.
Invest in yourself. Don't invest in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I get it. I'm saying that's why it's important for you to get yourselves in platforms like this or anywhere else for that matter, because it's very important to learn and hear these things and really get your mind going. Get your mind going as far as these things are concerned, because as we all know, the world out there is extremely negative. We're getting bombarded with all this information that are really tossing us here, there, and everywhere. And when you get into that survival mode, that auto mode, you can't get yourself out of it. It's like a rat race, isn't it? You just keep doing the same things every time because you're just on a survival mode. So it's very important to come into platforms like this. And for the benefit of Nikki, like what Steve said, we usually have our meetings every other Saturday. And we raise conversations to do with personal development. So anything to do with business, finance, relationships, lifestyle, physical fitness, mental health, you name it, anything to do with personal development, that's our area. So we raise conversations, we have discussions, we have debates, we have presentations, We have different topics, different weeks. So watch this space. We'll be sending out information in advance to let you know what's coming up next. So yeah, you're very welcome. And please also be great ambassadors for this program, because we want to reach as many people as possible. Like I said earlier, we record our sessions. So I'll be sharing the video once it's uploaded in our YouTube channel, so that we can share it, you know, everywhere and get more people involved and get this conversation more in our communities. So thank you so much, guys, once more. And without further ado, let me wish you a lovely weekend and hope to see you again next time. God bless.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
sure
you. Right back
Make
at
sure
everybody.
make sure you have a cold shower, Charles. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to think about that for a second.
Right. Yeah.
Think of all
So
that,
remember.
think of all the energy you'll be saving.
Yeah. Remember to take
Yeah,
action.
absolutely.
Cold shower.
Think of the
Cold shower.
positives.
Yeah. Take home.
No, but the thing,
Take home for
is
today,
about the
cold shower.
about the cold shower. Somebody said, you know, if you cannot take that risk that affect you, you know, how can you take a big risk that affect the family and the society? So yeah, so cold shower is good.
Can I
Try
just say something else quickly about a cold shower that I learned
Yeah.
a few weeks ago?
it. Yes.
The reason a cold shower is beneficial is because the shock of a cold shower can bring you out of survival mode,
Oh,
Oh.
because
okay.
it distracts you. It basically it helps you take your foot off the gas and put your foot on the brake.
right. Okay. So
It
you're
actually
saying
does
that,
psychologically,
yeah.
it can bring you out of whatever survival mode you're in.
So if I'm feeling stuck, the best thing to do is jump in a cold
cold
shower
shower
for a couple of minutes.
can be beneficial and bring you out of survival mode and snap you out of survival mode. It's like any kind of shock can
Yeah.
shock you out of whatever state you're in.
I will definitely give that a try.
Well, if you trust Bo, do it.
Absolutely. And then I'll come back and report in 2 weeks' time.